I had so much fun restuffing capacitors in a recent Motorola VT71 restoration, I decided to get right back into this RCA 630TS, in which I'm also going to be restuffing the caps. I'm also working on placing an order for a couple other projects, and I'd like to fill out that order with any additional stuff I might need for this set. In particular, I figure if I'm going to restuff the caps, I might as well use only carbon composition resistors if at all possible. So, I started working. Get some light on. I started working up in this corner and immediately encountered an issue, which is that this resistor, which is 150K, and coincidentally is R150 on the parts list, is supposed to be 47K. Looks to be the original though. I don't know if that was a production run change, or did somebody get confused and used a 150K for R150? I don't know. But it seems like it's fairly important. It's used for the brightness control and DC restoration. Right there. So it seems to me if it's 3 times what it should be, it's going to affect that circuitry. Regardless, I started testing these resistors and they're way off, so I figure I better order up some. Now I do have some from other projects. So here are the modern type carbon comps that Omite still makes. Not quite the same, but as far as I know, these are the only types still being manufactured that are readily available at Allied or Mauser or I think DigiKey. And I have so far unstuffed one cap. Now, unlike the Motorola's, these are a bit harder to unstuff. The wax they used on the ends needs a much higher temperature to melt. So I'm heating these up. The coating, the gooey outer wax coating, that melts off much more readily. I think it's just beeswax. But whatever this stuff is they use on the ends, quite a bit harder to get off. I think most of these are mica mold, at least the ones I can see. They're not RCA branded. Unlike the Motorola, which had all Motorola branded caps, these are not. A few of them have already been replaced with these more modernish, sort of lime green caps. But I've saved caps from other sets over the years, so I'm pretty sure I can find some period correct paper caps I can substitute in there. So I guess quickly what I'll go through, I'll do is I'll go through this and test all the resistors and make a list of any that I think I'll need while I wait to see if anybody can give me an answer on that. I took a photo and posted it online and asked for opinions, so we'll see what happens. Now luckily, regardless of what I go with, it's pretty easy to get at. It's right at the bottom, nothing really around it, so it'll be easy to swap out later if I decide to. Now to this guy, which is first electrolytic I'm going to tackle. And you can see how that one is oozing, so obviously no chance of reforming that guy. Now it's going to be a bit of a pain to get it out because similar to their Motorola sets, the can on these is not grounded. It's actually the minus 100 volt bus, which is used quite a bit in this set. You can see it down there, minus 100, minus 100. In fact, I believe that's the cap in particular I'm looking at. See, it's either C221 or 222. See, both of them have the negative side going to the minus 100 volt bus. So, that's why there's a bunch of wires going to these outside lugs, which are the can, and the can is on an insulating wafer. So, just cut away these two guys, and next up I'm going to have to work around that goo and get out those wires. I guess this is only a 2-section cap. I thought it was worse than that at first because with the caps no, I didn't get a good look at it. Getting the cap out actually wasn't that difficult. However, when I tried to remove the cardboard covering using a heat gun like I usually do, things didn't go so well. Usually these are held on by a blob of black tar, like I showed in other sets, and heat it up for a while. Eventually the tar gets gooey and you can slide it off. But in this case, it's held on by some sort of varnish or something. So I heated it up for a while, which did me absolutely no good whatsoever. So I'm just going to have to, well, destroy it to get it off. And I have to get it off because, well, there's only two ways to get this cap open. One, to cut it open around here, and the other is to uncrimp it. Either way, if I uncrimp it, it's going to damage the cardboard around the base, and if I cut it, of course, it's cut right through the cardboard. So what I'll do is I'll cut it open somewhere around here, restuff it, and then I'll fabricate a new cardboard tube. I mean, it's no big deal. Use one from a toilet paper roll or something like that, and just paint it black. No big deal. I cut the can open using a sharp utility knife by rocking it back and forth, about an eighth of an inch above the shoulder there, and then I started unrolling it, and look what I found. There is what sure looks like a blowout to me. So I bet the electrolyte dried out, and then the cap arced right through from one foil layer to another. Luckily, the power transformer seems to be okay. But, you know, this is probably on one of the voltage divider taps. So, if you recall, I had to replace the voltage divider in here. The resistor was burned out, so hey, maybe this is what took out that power resistor. I cleaned out the base of the capacitor, drilled a few holes, mounted my two new caps. There's one of those ultra skinny, high grade, high ripple current rated Nichicons. And then I twisted the base and rewired it in, so it's good to go. I will later fabricate a new cardboard tube to put over that. Now, earlier I had mentioned that I was going to test resistors and place an order for some carbon comps. Well, it turns out that I actually have a lot more carbon comps on hand than I realized. A bunch actually came with this set. If you recall, when I got it, there were a few boxes of parts that came with it. And also, I was going through some of my junk boxes and I found a bag full of them. So I think between those two stashes, I'll have whatever I need. And so far, I've actually needed to replace a couple, maybe 3 resistors that haven't been too far off of spec. Alright, so I'm just going to keep plugging away at this set, maybe a while before I do the next video installment, because I've got a whole lot of capacitors to restuff and resistors to check.